Up right now?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep, they're coming in. 38, 39.
I forgot to say that after the webinar, I can send you a list of everyone who registered.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Oh, 149 already.
Mhm.
Nice.
So we should have what about?
I think it's 290 or something in that
Okay.
class.
Okay. It's going to say close to 300, but
This morning, it was like, when I looked at 7 a.m., it was like 220 people had registered.
oh, okay. Well, that's good.
My mouse pad is so touchy. I'm sorry if I keep flipping forward. It's very touchy.
Oh, I love it. All the kids are saying hello to each
I
other.
know.
We even got some yos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hola.
Hola. Nice that they're
Using
not
your
shy.
skills in Spanish. Nice work.
I love it. Very friendly at 10 a.m.
I know. What time do we have?
2 more
Wow.
minutes.
Got
We got
French
some
coming
French-
on in too.
Yeah.
Somebody gonna answer that?
Yep.
Okay.
We cannot see them.
Do you want to be seen, Tia?
No, she says no.
I only called her out because I know her.
No. That's funny.
Good. I'm glad you can see. Can you see all 4 of us? Rain says no.
They can't see us.
They can't see all 4 of us.
Oh.
Well, they have to have a screen where they have it off
Yep.
on the right
So you might
side.
want to change your view to, is it gallery? Let me
I
see.
think so.
Side by side gallery. You should be able
Right.
to see our presentation and then you could see us.
Okay, someone said
Oh,
it.
somebody says they can't see anyone.
Someone said to be in full screen, maybe. If you're in full screen, then you can see who is talking. So
Okay.
that's what one young lady said.
I think that also was when we did our senior presentation, it happened just the one person talking was highlighted.
Okay.
Everybody can change their own view.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's
That's
up in
fine.
the top right corner, that view button.
Yeah, they can only see whoever's talking. It looks-
Mr. Fry says they can't change their view.
Okay, well,
That's all right.
yeah.
Maybe we can go off our presentation and introduce ourselves first.
Yes. Okay, what time is it? It's 10:01.
We have 2:36.
Okay, should
Somebody
we?
says they see all four of us. So
Yay, yeah.
I just
Oh.
stopped sharing, I think.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So welcome, upcoming freshmen to Dexter High School. My name is Christy Doyle. I'm one of the 4 counselors, and I will just quickly let the other counselors introduce themselves so you can at least see us.
hi, I'm Mrs. Jacobs. I have last names A through E. So if you are that student, I will be your counselor.
I'm Mrs. Morel, and I have students with the last name F through KN. So I'll be your counselor. That's your last name.
And once again, Christy Doyle, I have counselors KO through RI.
I am Karen Wagner. I have RO to Z.
Okay, so once again, thank you all for joining us, and I'm just going to shut that. So once again, Dexter High School freshman scheduling presentation. Normally we do come in a little earlier, but because of everything going on this year, we wanted everyone to kind of get through semester 1 and then, discuss next year. So I will be, Ms. Morel, if you can, there we go. So this is an important sheet of paper that you may want to, we will be posting all of this on our counseling website. Give us a little bit of time, but eventually this will be up on our counseling website along with the scheduling selection sheets and registration sheets. But this is an important piece of paper that you may actually either take a picture with your phone, that way you always have it, or your parents will have it. But this contact information is, first of all, we're listing the administration, which Mr. Moran, as some of you may have heard, will be retiring, sadly. So we do not, of course, know who will be the new principal at Dexter High School, but as soon as we know, I'm sure it will become public information. And Ken Koenig is our assistant principal. His contact information and email is there. And then we also have another assistant principal, Mrs. Karen Walls. And then once again, our counseling department, which we just introduced ourselves, and someone you will get to know because she does a lot of behind the scenes work for us. And you'll hopefully meet when you first walk in, hopefully next year, to the counseling office is Megan Ford, and she is our counseling secretary. So, if you needed to make an appointment or had a question that you weren't sure, she can often help direct you to either us or just answer a quick question for you. Then we have the athletic department, and Mike Bavanaugh is our athletic director, and his secretary, Judy Stoll, and her confirmation is there. And we will talk about athletics more towards the end of our presentation. And then, of course, an important number is the attendance line, the main office. So when you need to call in sick or absent, you would call this the main office for that. Okay, so this is very important. So what does it take to graduate on time with your class to walk across that stage 4 years from now? These are your graduation requirements. And for English, all 9th graders will take English 9. And that is a full 1.0 credit. So you'll have it for both semesters. Then in 10th grade, you will have World Lit and Comp and World Lit and Speech, which is an additional 1.0 credit. And then junior and senior year, you do have more choice of your English electives that you could take. This is where some students, if you really love English, you may branch off and take some upper level AP or IB English courses. And then we have the upper level lit in Comp 11, upper level lit in Comp 12, which the majority of our student body takes to meet those 4 credits of English. Math is also 4 credits, but math does have some specific requirements that you need to get through. Algebra 1. Now, some of you might be coming in with either algebra or algebra and possibly geometry credit, and that will move up with you. It will be placed on your transcript once you move up to the high school. So once again, just to kind of recap the requirements, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, or a CTE program, which we will talk about consortium briefly. But the consortium program isn't available until 11th and 12th grade, but that is programs where you go over to Saline High School, and it's things like auto, culinary arts, they have a marketing business, lots of different more hands-on types of programs that you can potentially earn college credit. But once again, those start in 11th and 12th grade, and it can also meet your Algebra 2 requirement for certain programs. And then usually most students need another credit of math. Of course, if you're coming in with, 2 credits or 1 credit of math, you will be ahead. However, all students regardless. So I've had some kids who have had 5 credits of math at the end of their junior year. The state of Michigan says that all seniors have to have at least a half a credit of math their senior year. But like I said, the majority of our kids need that credit of math. Science. For science, we have 3 credits, which is biology, chemistry, and then an elective credit of science. So all of you will take biology freshman year, and then you will have a choice of chemistry or physics. Usually you're going to take that sophomore year, but it is not necessary to take both. Okay, obviously, if you're thinking of majoring in science, you might end up taking both chemistry and physics, but for sophomore year, you would choose one of those. And then the elective science courses, we have a lot of electives, anatomy and physiology, freshwater biology. We've added some really cool, there's advanced biochem forensics. So that 3rd credit of science can be met in numerous ways. Social studies, for the social studies credits, all of you will take American history as freshmen, and that will be blocked with your English course. So a lot of times for the English and history block, they will open up the wall. They're connecting classrooms, they'll open up the wall, and they do a lot of kind of project-based things together with all of those students. World history is your 10th grade history course, which is the next requirement. And then sometime between 11th and 12th grade, you will take American government or economics. You can take both of those at the AP level, but then they become a year-long course versus a half a credit course. So instead of being 1 semester, if you take them AP, they would become a year-long course for both AP Gov and AP Macro Micro. World language, you need 2 credits of your world language requirement. And we offer Spanish and French at the high school. Now, some of you may be interested in ASL. That's become quite popular with a lot of our student body. And if that's something you're interested in, I know some of you may already be in an ASL class at the middle school level. Most of you are probably aware that it only goes at this time to the 2nd year. So you can only take ASL 1, ASL 2, but that can meet your world language requirement. And if you are interested in doing that, instead of taking Spanish or French, then you would need to reach out to your counselor so that we can discuss that and get the paperwork to you. However, just quickly want to discuss that online language classes are not for everyone. So really think about whether that's a good choice for you, whether you're kind of a self-starter, you can, stay organized and on top of those assignments without having, the regular check-ins with a teacher. Then the next thing is physical education and health. So you can either take lifetime fitness or strength and conditioning. Those are each a half a credit. The other half a credit making up that PE and health requirement is your health and wellness course, and that is a half a credit. The next box that you'll see is visual performing and applied arts, and you need 1 credit of that. This is normally the part of the conversation where we ask how many students are in band, choir, or orchestra. And we do have a large body of students who are currently in our music programs. And if you're planning on continuing for next year, if you take band, choir, orchestra as a freshman, then by the end of the year, you will have met your 1.0 credits of your VPA, we call it. If not, that's okay. If you are like me and not musically inclined, you can take some other art classes. So we have things like foundations of art, graphic arts, housing and interior design. There are lots of other options for a freshman to take to get that visual performing arts credit. This is put on, but the online learning experience, you don't need to worry about this. Sometimes parents read that and think they have to sign up their student for an online summer course to meet that requirement. That is not the case. That will be met automatically by going through our new program, which will be Zello. And that's going to replace our Naviance program beginning with your class. So next year, you'll be kind of the first freshman to go through the Zello program, but that will be our career and college exploration program. And that will also meet your online learning experience. Okay, so at the bottom, you will see that the Dexter High School students can earn 29 credits out of 32 possible for graduation. These requirements here, the 4 credits of English, math, etc., that is what's called the Michigan Merit Diploma, Michigan Merit Curriculum. That is the base of what you need for graduation. And then of course you would take other electives to get to that number. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this scheduling sheet that you guys see up here. This is what you're going to want to look at before you do your course requests in PowerSchool. Like Mrs. Doyle went through all of the different options for classes and what you need for graduation. As a freshman, there are certain things that are already chosen for you. All freshmen will be taking English 9A and B and American history. And as Mrs. Doyle said, that's going to be as a block so that you guys kind of get to know some kiddos and have a place to ask questions about high school and kind of all that stuff. And your science class is already picked out for you because you're all going to take biology. Now, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of different options for your math class. You definitely need to listen to your teachers and their recommendation for your math. We have pre-algebra you could take, algebra 9, advanced geometry, and advanced algebra 2. We have kiddos come in and they go against their teacher's recommendation, and oftentimes they're not very successful in that math class. So definitely take what your teacher says and go with it. They know where your math skills are and where you're going to fit in best up in the high school, because the math courses are sequential. If you don't have a strong foundation, perhaps in algebra, when you get to algebra 2, that could become a little bit of a problem. So the recommendations are usually pretty spot on. And I know Mrs. Doyle talked about world language. If you guys haven't started your world language journey yet, I would highly recommend taking either French 1 or Spanish 1 in high school, your freshman year. If you love the course, then you can continue on and take more than 2 years of it. And from a college perspective, a lot of the elite universities want you to have at least 3 years of a world language in high school. So depending on what college you're looking at after high school, you may want to continue on your world language journey and take higher level world language classes. We have a bunch of different electives for English. If you love English and you love writing and reading, I would highly suggest some of these courses. There's creative writing, intro to journalism, intro to media lit, popular literature, speech, multimedia journalism, and that's the newspaper class, and yearbook writing. And then there's the visual performing arts. We have obviously band and choir. So if you're taking that in middle school and you love it and you want to continue on, you most certainly may. You need to have at least 1 credit of that from that group to graduate from high school. You can have more than 1 credit if you love band or choir, or you're very much into art and you want to continue to take those courses, you most certainly may. If you are more of a visual arts person, there's foundations of art, and you need to take that before you take advanced drawing and painting and illustration. So that's kind of the gatekeeper course to make sure that you have the skills to be successful in those next level courses. And then we have a new course for next year called digital photography. Our art teacher, Cricket, has done an amazing job with that class, and kids really, really love it. It's been really neat to see the outcome of what they're doing in that class. So if you like taking pictures with your phone, perhaps that might be the way to go. We have housing and interior design. We have photojournalism, which is different than digital photography. That class will teach you how to tell stories with your picture. And I've seen some really cool things come out of that class too. And then we have a class that is an oldie, but we're bringing it back, called video production. We have graphic arts 1 and graphic arts 2. And those classes, you learn how to make logos, you learn how to design logos and print them out. It's a fun class to take. And then, as you can see, all of those music classes are on the bottom. So there's band, orchestra, and choir. And those are, your placement would be pending spring auditions. So you'll audition for the different levels of those classes and then be put in one of them. As Mrs. Doyle also said, we have a PE and health requirement. So if you wanted to take those classes, there's lifetime fitness or strength and conditioning, and that counts for your physical education requirement. And you can take that your freshman year. And then we have the health and wellness class, which covers the health credit. And those are all available for you to take. And if you love gym and you want to continue to take some PE electives, there's aquatics, which would be swimming. And then DHS wellness, team and individual sports, and yoga and mindfulness. So those are some different options for you there. And then we have some other electives, nutrition and food science, which you'll learn how to cook and how to plan healthy meals, and then student leadership. So when you go to select your classes, you're going to want to take a look at these different options for you and see what ones you might want to take. As I said, English 9, biology, and American history will already be chosen for you. You're going to want to make sure you pick the correct math class, go with your teacher's recommendation. We get a copy of those recommendations. So if you go ahead and schedule a class that you weren't recommended for, we may email or give you a call, because we want to make sure you're in the correct class. And if you decide to go against the recommendation, we want to make sure that your parents understand that you'll be in that class until the semester change, because we don't have a lot of room to move things around like that. We plan based on those recommendations. So that is the freshman course request sheet.
Okay, so how do we get registered for classes? So the instructions to do this is through your PowerSchool. So hopefully all of you know your PowerSchool information, username and password. Hopefully you're checking your grades on a regular basis. So what you would do is go to, number one, the website that has your PowerSchool, log in as you normally would with your username and password. Once you're logged in, you're going to click on class registration, and it's usually located on the left side of the page. There's tabs that you just have to filter through. And And the class registration screen then is set up for you and your offerings that are available per grade level. So as a freshman, you can't go in and take sophomore classes if it's not available to you. There will be a pull down menu that you can click on. So let's say one of your electives, you want it to be English. Along with your English 9 class, you can pull that English elective down and it will have different choices for you. So the thing that you really need to know when you're registering is PowerSchool automatically enrolls you in your English 9, your American history, and your biology classes. You do not have to select those. They're pre-registered for you. They're already part of your classes that you're going to be selecting. You will then have to register for the next, well, it would be normally the next 6 classes, but we have changed our scheduling a little bit for next year to a block. So you're gonna have a little more options for electives. So then when you select a class, let's say you're selecting your math class that you were recommended for, please make sure that you select Algebra 9A and Algebra 9B. That means you have registered for the entire year of Algebra 9. Any year-long classes, it has an A and a B component to it. So you have to make sure you select both of those. Spanish 1A, Spanish 1B, French 2A, French 2B. So that's super important in order to get all of your cores down, and especially the full year classes. Make sure that you are selecting 8 electives to complete your schedule, 4 for each semester. So you're going to have your 4 core classes. 3 of them already selected for you. You need to select your math that you've been recommended for. Then on top of that, you are going to select 8, 4 for first semester, 4 for second semester. Now, if you're in a music, you're going to select one of your electives is going to be band, orchestra, choir, A and B. If you're choosing to do your world language and continue it and get it out of the way, you're going to select that as well. Then you're only left with 2 electives per semester or 4 total. So know that your band and your world language or your orchestra and choir and world language would be considered a core class because it's a full year long class and it takes up room in your schedule. Okay. Let's see, make sure I covered everything in number 6. All right. Lifetime fitness, health and wellness, your art classes, your elective English, most of those are going to be semester-long classes, not full year. So if PE is what you're choosing, lifetime fitness for first semester, and then you're also choosing health, that will be your full year right there. Each one, though, could happen in the same semester. So you might have health and PE in one semester. It doesn't have an A or B component to it, and that's how you can tell if it's a semester class or a year-long class. Okay. After you have made all of your course selection, so your 3 cores that are already picked, your math, and then your 8 elective classes, you also then need to choose your 6 alternate classes. So let's say you selected Foundations of Art, and then the next semester you're going to want to take Advanced Drawing and Painting, but you don't get into Advanced Drawing and Painting. You select 6 alternates that you would also be considered as an okay class to take in replacement of the class you requested. That would be a hard class as a freshman to get in because we have a lot of upperclassmen that also request the Advanced Drawing and Painting. So then we would replace it with your first alternate option and then go down the list from there. So you do need to select quite a lot of classes for your freshman year because we have changed from a 6-hour to an 8-hour schedule. So if you obviously have any questions about that, we can answer that at the end. When you are done selecting everything, please, please, please make sure you scroll to the very bottom of the page and hit submit. If you do not submit, it will not record all of the work that you did. And I'm sure you're going to spend some time clicking on things, pulling down the menus for each section just to see what's offered to you. Print the page. In case you forget what you had, go back to your printed page, look at what you selected. You have until March 15th to register. And let's say you registered for something and you're like, yeah, I don't think I want to do that anymore. You can go back into your PowerSchool class registration and change it up to March 15th. So you can go back and forth. I would definitely do this with your parents, sit down with them, make sure they know what you're selecting. So, because I have had parent phone calls like, why did you let my kid register for this class? Well, they requested it. So it's very important that you do this with your parents, especially this first time, just so they can see what you're selecting. So definitely make sure you submit, make sure you print your page so you know what you're taking. And then if you're unsure about a class, there is a course description on the Dexter Community Schools website through Dexter High School into the counseling page. There's a link right there. It tells you exactly how to do it, where to go, read about the class. Like if you didn't know that food and nutrition was about cooking and you don't want to learn how to cook, that's going to be a problem, because once you request classes, based off your request, that's how many classes of that particular class we offer. So if not a lot of people ask for food and nutrition, and then we get to the year and we only had one each semester, but then everybody's like, oh, it's a cooking class, it's so exciting, I want to do it. We won't have a lot of room for you to do that unless you request the class now. So it does depend on what you select by March 15th to know how many of each class that we're going to need in the fall. Okay. As I said, the deadline, it's going to be March 15th. So it's going to open up tomorrow. Okay. You can't get in there today. So if you try today, it's not going to work. Mr. Koenig is going to turn on the scheduling link tomorrow in your PowerSchool. You have until March 15th to get it done. Once the deadline has occurred, we lock it down, and that's the information that we take. So it will be based off that information. If you do not fill out a course registration, we get to pick your classes. And I'm pretty sure you do not want us to do that come the spring. So please make sure you're picking the classes that you're interested in, that you want to take, because it's not fun for us to have to do that for you and try to play a guessing game. Okay. The parent presentation will be this evening at 6. So if you're still unsure about something and you want to come back, or if you want to listen to this again later, it's going to be on our website as well. So please make sure that there's any information that you need. It's here in the slideshow. We are going to share this information, slideshow, webinar with your teachers, so you'll have access to that.
I get to do extracurricular activities. Typically, this is a form that we would have in like a packet for you. However, we are not handing out papers or receiving them back due to our situation in COVID. So right now, I'm just going to run through the program we have. And I think Mr. Babinaw, which is our athletic director, is working on an electronic version of how to get who's interested in some of these sports, so that he can get your contacts to coaches for the future. So if you don't hear something or see something by May, June timeframe, we might want to touch base and make sure they have your contact information. So for the fall, we have boys soccer, girls swim and dive, equestrian, sideline cheer, girls volleyball, football, girls cross country, boys cross country, boys water polo, dance team, girls golf, boys tennis, and then girls field hockey. Winter sports are girls basketball, boys basketball, wrestling, competitive cheer, boys swim and dive, the dance team, and ice hockey. And then our spring sports are girls and boys track and field, girls softball, boys lacrosse, girls soccer, boys baseball, girls water polo, boys golf, girls tennis, and then rugby. So if you're interested in those, that would be Mr. Babineau, who would be your contact. Please do not reach out to him at this time. Like I said, he's going to come up with a Google form or something for you guys to be able to put those activities in that you're interested in. Next, how do you find our counseling webpage? This is very specific and it's a step-by-step. So we have college and career planning, we have SAT stuff, we have applications and scholarships, you know, throughout your high school career. You're going to want to know where this page is. So if you go to Dexter High School website, which is dexterschools.org, and then you click on schools, and the drop down gives you all of the schools. So you go to DHS, and then the counseling tab is in the middle of that. Lastly, just a reminder of our deadline is March 15th, and you may access and re-enter PowerSchool numerous times if you want to work on it. But like Ms. Jacobs said, unless you hit that submit button, we will not have it. So if it takes you some time, it's okay, but we need this by March 15th so we can start working on next year's scheduling. So at this time, I am, the question and answer is open. We would love to answer some of these questions. And I think the breakdown of credits, like some of these might be confusing, that yes, you need one visual, performing, and applied art. And you can take more than one. You can take them throughout all 4 years. If you're an art person, you can put in every single year. Okay, so it's very important to know, like, you have repeatable courses, which is typically your PE courses. So if you're a gym kid, you can take that every single year. Languages, we have French and Spanish in our building. There are online languages, which we have learned we do not recommend. It's super hard to learn an online language. But if you are very self-motivated and able to do an online program, we can discuss that with you at that time.
Also, just wanted to say, it is not first come, first serve as far as this registration. So don't think, oh my gosh, if I register for my classes at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, I'll get every single class I want. That is not how this works. So it basically, we take all of the students that have registered by March 15th. It goes into the PowerSchool database. It's not by who did it first, who did it last. Okay, so it's a randomly generated system. So please don't rush this process. We want you to talk to your math teacher, remember, before you select a math class. So no one really should be registering by tomorrow at 8 a.m. You should all be having discussions with your parents. You should be having discussions with your teachers. Talk to your language teacher if you're in a language. Talk to your math teacher. So I really would recommend not registering at least for a couple days, because you should be having those conversations with your parents, with your teachers, reading, like Ms. Jacobs said, the course descriptions, making sure we had this years ago. We don't offer the class anymore, but we had a forensics class, which everyone thought was like forensic science. And it was not forensic science at the time. It was forensics, which was kind of like acting, speaking. And kids got into the class and sometimes we could not move them and they were very unhappy. So please make sure you read about what you're taking. Okay, so just to clarify, not first come, first serve.
And there's quite a few questions about the world language, which I kind of want to just touch on real quick. If you are in Spanish or French, Michigan Merit Curriculum says you have to take 2 years of the same language. So if you're in Spanish 1 right now and you want to try French next year, you're going to have to start over. So that's one thing you need to know. If you're switching languages from middle school to high school, you will still need 2 consecutive years of the same language. If you have Spanish 1 this year, if you have French 1 this year, and your teacher has recommended that you go to year 2, then that's the recommendation that we want you to take. Some people may have to repeat Spanish 1 or French 1, and that's okay. We just wouldn't put it then on your transcript to come over as a high school credit, especially if you do better once you're in high school. So know that the world language piece is recommended from your current teacher if you're in a world language. That recommendation would carry over to the high school, okay? The other thing, there are a lot of online languages that you can take. Please know that anything you do online has nothing to do with Dexter high school teachers. The counselors can register you for the class. We can't help you with the class. You are one-on-one with a cyber person on the other side of your computer learning a language. That's why we say it's very difficult to do that, because a lot of people like the in-person, especially with a world language. So if you choose to do ASL, if you choose to do German, if you choose to do Mandarin Chinese, whatever it is that you decide to do, know that it is harder to do it online than it would be in person, okay? One other thing I want to clarify too is, as far as in-person learning next year, we have not had any decisions. We haven't even discussed at the district level what that's going to look like, because we have quite a long time before then. So any questions about in-person, hybrid, remote learning for next year, we're probably not going to know until summer, right before the fall.
The couple questions in there, are you guys going to send us the list of classes and stuff? That was in this PowerPoint, like the course registration sheet. Those will go on the counseling website so you can actually print them. We have also sent them to the middle school teachers. So some of them may have paper copies if you'd like a paper copy, but you can either print from home once it's on the counseling website, or you can rewatch this, presentation and just kind of hold it on that screen so you can look at it. But remember, when you go to registration, to actually in your PowerSchool, those classes are in there in the drop-down menu.
There's another question about languages. If you took Spanish 1 or French 1 in middle school, that will be counted as one high school credit when you move up to the high school. And I did mention something about taking 3 years of a foreign language. If you're looking at a school like U of M or another elite university, they have said they want you to take at least 3 years of a world language at a high school level. Not that your middle school language doesn't count, but they want to see the coursework in high school. If those are not schools that you're thinking about, then you don't need to continue on in a world language. You don't have to take Spanish or French 3. But if that's a school that you're looking at, I know a lot of kiddos like to apply to U of M from Dexter, then you do need to know that that's something that if you don't take the 3rd or 4th year of a world language in high school, you may not be considered for admission. So that's just something you want to think about ahead of time so that you don't close doors. And then I can answer this one real quick. Is ASL online? It sure is. We don't have an ASL teacher in the building.
And another student asked, so after the March 15th deadline, when we want you to have your requests in, if something really dramatically changes, so let's say all of a sudden maybe you're in Algebra 1 right now and you were doing fine semester 1, but semester 2 gets really tough and you don't do as well, then we will, of course, if you were to email us and want to change that and say, I'd like to repeat Algebra 1 in 9th grade because I didn't do so hot semester 2 of my 8th grade year, we will allow for changes like that. So, I mean, we have some flexibility, but we can't be moving multiple courses. But if it's something where the teacher is recommending that you don't move on, then we can make changes to your requests.
I'm going to go through some of these questions. So it says, do French and Spanish have travel opportunities in the future? Obviously, we have in the past. With the pandemic and everything that's happened with COVID, a lot of that has been shut down. So hopefully when you're junior, senior, maybe those opportunities are going to be there, but there's nothing that we can guarantee as far as that goes. So It potentially could, but we're kind of, again, something that's up in the air due to, the world we're living in right now. The other question is, what is the average range of credits we need to graduate? And there was something else about a science elective. The sheet that Mrs. Doyle read to you has everything that you need to graduate. And at the very bottom, it's going to tell you you need 29 credits out of a possible, I believe, 32 that you could get and earn, plus your middle school credits that you may bring over for your math or your science or your world language. So all of that sheet has all of the required classes. And then at the very bottom, how many credits you need. The sheet that Mrs. Morrell read to you, which is the actual sheet for freshmen, what they can register for, science electives would be on that page as well. So you can find both of those on both of the sheets that we read off earlier.
I think most of the science electives require you to pass biology prior to taking them. So you probably won't have the ability to take a science elective as a freshman, but as a sophomore, you would.
If we have an 8-hour schedule, what do the start and stop times look like? Just know that you wouldn't have all 8 classes on one day. You would split them 4 and 4. The times are still the same. 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. is kind of what we live in right now, and that's not going to change. So just know that we are not going to do 8 hours all in one day. So that's a great question.
Someone else said, will grades be mixed in classes that aren't required for freshmen? So yes, for example, if you are in a health class, you may be in health with 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students, or a gym courses, art courses. You may have kids in all different grade levels in those courses.
If you're not sure if you're going to go to DHS next year, you still want to register for classes. So that way, if you decide to go there, or that's where you're going to be, then you have classes selected for you. And if you don't end up going, we'll just kind of zap your schedule. So definitely register for classes, even if you're not 100% sure that that's where you're going to go.
Yeah,
the next one
asked about, are we more likely to be accepted to better schools if we take extracurricular sports as well as if our GPA is good? You don't, some of us are not athletic. That's okay. What I would say is that you want to find something that you're passionate about. So whether that's a club or activity through Dexter High School or a club or activity outside of Dexter High School, what colleges are looking for, whether it's in sports or those clubs and activities, is a passion and leadership. So, if you were to join a club or activity as a freshman and stick with it till senior year, and then maybe become the vice president or president of that club or activity, that's wonderful. That's what colleges are looking for. You don't have to join 20 different clubs or sports. Colleges kind of see through that. They really would prefer you pick 1 or 2 things that you stick with, and that once again, you're showing leadership instead of just bouncing around and doing, a couple months of this, couple months of that, couple months of that. They really want you to kind of stick with things.
A tour of the high school. We don't have any answers for that specifically right now, just because of the world. Generally, there is a tour in August for freshmen and new students, so I would anticipate that would likely be the case. But all of that is obviously up in the air depending on the world. So hopefully we'll be in person and you'll be able to have that tour.
And I think they are still planning on doing Move Up Day, which is for our 8th graders in the spring, where we bring up the 8th grade students and, we pair you with some of our upperclassmen, and they kind of, give you a tour of the school. So our Move Up Day, hopefully, will still be happening, and you will get details of that. But like Ms. Morrell said, worst case scenario, we should be able to still hopefully host that tour in August.
The orchestra audition date, I believe, would be told to you by your orchestra teacher. I don't know that we have a date right now. Are there any restrictions on classes for freshman year? So yes, there are. If freshmen can't take AP and IB courses. The classes that you're going to be available to take will be on PowerSchool in the drop-down menus. If the class is not there, then it's not available for you to take. We definitely want to make sure that you're prepared for those upper level courses. And we know that the transition from middle school to high school can be difficult. And so we try to make sure that you are in appropriate classes and that you'll be successful. The worst thing you can do is overload yourself your freshman year and dig yourself a big hole with your GPA, because it's kind of hard to recover from there. So we want you to be well-balanced students. We want you to have time to do your homework and still go out and have fun with your friends. High school is not all about academics. It's also about, you know, the social experience and you know, still being able to have fun while you're a teenager. So we want to make sure you have a balanced kind of thing. We don't love it when kiddos come down to our office in tears because they're overwhelmed with their coursework.
So the next question is, if you take chem and physics, do they count for 2 credits or just 1? Here is lowdown. Every single class that you take is worth a half of credit. Chemistry would be chemistry A and B. It's a year-long course, so it would be 1 credit worth, as well as physics. We do have to get through biology before you get to chemistry or physics. So your first class will be biology. My next question here is, so once we sign up for a class and we pass the deadline of March 15th, we cannot change our class no matter what. So if after the March 15th, you will have to get in touch with your counselor to have that changed, and the reason behind it. Why are we changing it? What's going on? You know, all that good stuff. So it is not set in stone, but we want you to thoroughly put thought into it so we don't have to have all those conversations.
Because remember, like I said before, once you register for a class, that gives us an idea of how many of those classes we're going to need to put in our schedule. So you may say, oh, I want to get out of this class and go into this new class. That new class might be full. So that's really why it's so important that you get everything you want in your class registration now. So then it hopefully can guarantee that you get into that class that you have requested. Because you may not be able to due to being full, or upperclassmen have first choice, or whatever the case is. So not that you can never change your schedule, it's going to be more difficult for you to get the class probably that you're requesting.
You guys, as far as clubs and activities, there's a lot about that. That is on the Dexter High School main page. There is a list of clubs and activities, along with, I believe, the advisor. Normally what happens is in the fall, within, I think it's usually the second week of school, in the cafeteria, we will have club day set up where all the various clubs have a table, and then you can sign up if you're interested, and they'll talk about when the first meeting is. So that will all happen very early fall, so you can get involved in those clubs and activities. But you can find information, just general information about the clubs and activities, going to the high school website. Can you start a club or activity in the high school? Yes. So there is a process for doing that. And we have had kids start some pretty cool clubs. Like I think a kid 2 years ago started like a fly fishing club. But what you need to do is find an advisor, which is usually a teacher at the high school who is willing to, you know, be the advisor for that. And then you have to present that to Mr. Moran, or whomever the new principal is, has to approve those clubs and activities that you're hoping to run.
Okay. I know ASL, but can I take it to understand it more? Yes, you can take it to understand it more. And if you're trying to use it as a world language, just know that you would have to take 4 semesters or 2 full years of the ASL in order for it to count towards your world language credit. How many times can I take photography? Typically, you could take like photojournalism and then digital photography, but typically you can only take those once.
There's
The
a
PE
digital
class-
photography program at Consortium, which we'll talk more about way down the road. So if that's something you like, there is other opportunities there.
And you guys remember, AP and IB classes normally do not open up until junior year. However, because we are moving to a block schedule, most likely, not 100% official, but looks like the direction we're going. 10th grade, we will probably be offering some AP courses to our 10th graders, not 9th grade though. There, could be possibilities. You need to email your individual counselor, if there's 10th grade courses that you're interested in at the AP level, but IB does not open up. That is the IB standards. They do not open up their classes until 11th grade. That's a nationwide, that's the parameters that they have set in the IB program. So like I said, AP classes, most likely some of you may, if you're really highly interested in a subject area, there could be a possibility to take that in 10th grade.
Is there a benefit if you take more than one high school credit for each subject? So if you're a kiddo that wants to go into engineering, obviously you're going to want to take physics, and then you're going to want to take AP physics, and then you're probably going to want to take AP physics too. So that would be beneficial to getting into an engineering school eventually. So it all just depends on your interests and what you want to do after high school. So yes, there is definitely some benefits if it matches what your post-secondary plans are.
There is a question, can I take a visual arts class and a music class in the same year? Absolutely. Know that one of them will take care of your art credit, your visual or performing applied arts, and then the other would be just one of the electives you chose to take because you're really interested. So that is definitely something that you could do, and definitely with the 8 block that we have, it would probably be more feasible to do it now, coming into the next fall. Will the assigned students be having academic support class? If you are a student that is currently in an academic support and qualify for that, then yes, we still have academic support classes. We still have TCs for that for you. That does not change once you move from middle school to high school. So you definitely will keep that.
You guys, as far as recommendations, yes, you would want to email your math teacher. If you're home-based right now, you can email your math and language teachers to get their recommendations. That's definitely what we suggest. And some of them may be telling you, that this is what they recommend, but if you're not sure, please, email them, reach out to make sure that they, agree with what you believe is your next step in either math or language.
So there's another question about the languages. Again, not all students need to take above a Spanish 2. You don't have to continue taking language if that's not something you love and you're not looking at some school like U of M. If you are looking at U of M, we've seen they have flat out told us they want to see 3 years of a world language in the high school setting. So while Spanish 1 and 2 count for graduation requirements, U of M wants to see you have 3 more years of that language in high school. So if U of M is not the school for you, and it's not the school for a lot of kiddos, and that's okay. They're in our own backyard, and I know they do a great job making sure that we all think that they're the most fantastic. But it's not the school for everybody, and that's great. But you don't have to continue on if that's not what you're looking at. So if U of M is on your horizon, or that's someplace you want to apply to, you just want to make sure that you keep that door open by having at least 3 years of a foreign language in the high school setting. Do we get credits for taking college courses outside of school? Starting your sophomore year, potentially. You may have room in your schedule to take a class at WCC at our local community college. And we can fit that in your schedule. It would count as a high school credit and a college credit, and you can do that. Most of those classes run outside of the high school hours, and you can do that generally starting your sophomore, junior year.
Okay. Does everyone need a gym credit, and is it a physical credit or a health credit? So yes, the state of Michigan says every student that graduates from a Michigan public school, it needs to take a health class and a PE class. Now, there are exceptions to that, and that will be talked to with your counselor personally, because it's a situational thing. Each student is different. Being that we're probably going to have lots of room in our schedule, a lot of you will continue to take PE and health because you have that room in your schedule. In the past, we've had students who either attend the consortium, or they're a full IB student, or they take a lot of AP IB classes where they don't have room in their schedule in the 4 years to take PE or health, or one or the other. And so we can get them exempt because we're replacing it with a different type of course or class. Like I said, that's on an individual basis, and we won't know that until junior, senior year, because once you have room, they require that you take those classes because it's part of the state curriculum. So it's going to be on an individual basis. It's not something that we can decide your freshman or sophomore year, but make sure you sign up for the classes you do want to take, because if there is not room by your senior year, then we would be able to get you exempt from that for whatever reason.
Just to follow up, Mr. Fry, thank you, answered the question about math recommendations. Math teachers are working on recommendations over the weekend, and he said they will follow up with emails to students and parents by the end of next week. So it looks like those will be coming to you. So just be patient. And once again, this is not a race. No, we're not racing. So just wait. You can wait a week or so. Use this time to go on and select your other classes, to read the course descriptions. So just kind of hold tight. You have until March 15th, which is a couple weeks. So just, go ahead and wait for your math and language teachers to tell you what they recommend.
So what are the benefits to AP or IB courses? They bump up your grade point, and they give you a more in-depth experience in those subject areas. So they're great for students who are highly passionate about whatever those courses are in. If you don't love the subject, it's probably not to your benefit to take the class for a bump in your grade point, because colleges want to see you do well in the classes, like A's or B's. But they do bump up your grade point, and they give you a deeper understanding of the material covered. So
yes, also AP and IB courses, you can take tests to earn, those college credits. So, if you were to take AP biology, for example, you could take the AP biology exam and potentially take those college credits, depending on your test score. Obviously, you have to score well enough on the AP exam, but then colleges will award you credit. Usually your freshman biology course is waived, so then you can move on to the next level. So the same thing is true for IB courses. There is an exam that you can take to earn those college credits.
what kind of events does student council plan? Anybody want to go with that? They help with a lot of stuff. They do all the things.
Yeah, student council, when we have assemblies, they put together the activities for assemblies. They do like coat and food drives that we have, like around Christmas, Thanksgiving. They do some of the things in town, like fun runs and fundraisers for different events that we have. So just sort of depends on the year sometimes, the activities that they do.
And there's a coordinator to that. So you would get in touch with the coordinator if you're interested in student council once you get up here and learn all about the activities in the clubs, and then of course student council. I think this was answered, but I'll just make sure we answer it. Are extracurricular activities mandatory? They are absolutely not mandatory. If you're a student that, you know, just is really focused on your academics and that's what you're focused on, that's awesome. I will just put a little side note. Colleges like to see kids that are well-rounded. Yes, it's amazing that you're a 4.0 student and you're academic and you work hard, but they also want to know that once you get on their campus, you're going to make their campus better because you volunteer in your community, you try to help at your church. Volunteering is super important. You are involved in other things, not just being solely a student. I had a student who was all academic, but he didn't do much outside of that. And it really raised some questions for the school he was wanting to go to, but then found out later he worked all 4 years of high school. So besides being a 4.0 student and then also carrying a job, that was pretty impressive to the college. But if you're not doing other things, they're definitely going to want to know why. What else did you do with your time besides your academics?
Xbox doesn't count. It makes a really hard letter to write when you're like, yeah, the kid is a 4-point student and kicks butt at, you know, Call of Duty.
Right.
Like, you need to be involved in other things, not hanging out in the basement.
What platform are the online language classes? Well, this year we had an interesting little situation where typically we would use Michigan Virtual Schools. Michigan Virtual Schools shut down their registration like in August because they had so many signups and so many registrations. So we had to venture out. So there's not just one platform that we use. Know that it could be Michigan Virtual Schools, it could be BYU, it could be the University of Nebraska High School. Like there's a lot of platforms we have available to us now since this happened to us in the fall. So there's not just one. We might recommend one to you once we sit down with you and kind of figure out what you're looking for. But we do use quite a few platforms.
If I took algebra in 8th grade, does that count as a credit? Yes, it does. You'll carry that credit up to high school, and that counts as your graduation credit.
Also know that any middle school grades that you earn, you will get the credit, you will show the grade on the transcript. However, that grade does not average in to your high school GPA. So anything that you take at the high school is the only thing that will average into your GPA over the next 4 years, okay? We can talk later about like the college. I know somebody had a college question that we'll talk about definitely later, but anything that you take at Dexter High School is what will average into your GPA.
If you don't know your PowerSchool login, I would recommend emailing your counselor in 8th grade and they can give it to you. They'll be able to get that to you. What are the best classes to get into U of M? It all depends on what school you're looking at U of M, what you're interested in. You want to take upper level AP and IB courses, and you want to do the best that you can in all your classes. I believe we did talk about the AP and IB. You can start taking those your sophomore year for AP potentially, and then IB starts your junior year. Can we take freshwater biology? I believe that biology is a prerequisite for that course, so you can take that your sophomore year.
Okay, you guys, we are probably going to, because we're kind of at our mark here, and we want to be able to, you know, give you time, and we know it's count day, so you might have other things you need to log into. Once again, if you have individual questions, you can email your counselor, but please, you know, kind of go back and maybe if you weren't paying complete attention, go back and rewatch the webinar, and we will have these posted on the counseling website, the registration sheet, the course selection. Once again, you can find it at the beginning of this webinar. We had those things listed, but we wanted to thank you all for coming, and hope you guys have a great rest of your week.
Registration opens tomorrow and closes March 15th. Have a great day and a good weekend.
Bye. Nice meeting all of you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay.